Can't hear anything.
Can't hear anything.
Maybe I'll go out and come back in.
Okay.
Okay.
Voila!
Yes, you did it. You're brilliant. Yes. Right.
All right.
How are you, Rush?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. It's been an early morning for me. I've been up since 5. Thought that we were all ready for this, and now Teresa's missing, so
I think I made it.
All right.
how incredible is that? That is just
What the heck?
We made it.
Yeah. Hey, Rush.
Hi. How you doing?
Oh, wow. It's been a day. Hey, there's bobdub. All right, we're all here.
Rush did it finally.
Thank you, Rush. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Well.
Well, we'll have an abbreviated amount of time.
Yeah. How are my favorite influencers doing today?
You say the sweetest things.
Let's say I feel like I've been through a wringer washer machine right now. I should put this down, but honestly, wow, that was crazy. Other than that, though, I've been fine. How about you guys?
Yeah, it's actually been quite a day. Got the dog with me today, and all the birds are singing.
So you got your dog there with you?
Yeah, looks like she's taking a nap.
Oh, okay.
Lucy, is her name Lucy?
Lucy.
What's that?
Lucy. The dog's
Mhm.
name, yes. Okay. Awesome. So she still lives with you in the woods?
Yeah. She, I have her on I basically dog sit her. Her owner goes to work on the weekends, so I have her Friday, Saturday, and Sunday until the evening, well, late at night. So I get her like at 6 in the morning, and then I have her till about 10 at night.
I've never known of child rights for a pet. That is so cool.
I don't know. She has all the perks. She's on welfare. She's got health care for sure, and yeah, she's got babysitters. She's never been left alone her whole life. I think she's about 3 and a couple months, and she's never spent a day by herself.
Wow. Oh, wonderful. That's how to live, I think. Connected. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Twain did something like that. He loved cats, and he was traveling all the time, so he would basically rent cats. He would ask people to let him have his cats while he was staying somewhere.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, can't be without those animals. I saw that you were around hummingbirds. Where was that at? Is that where you at now?
I have some that visit here sometimes, but there's a neighbor that has a ton of feeders, and so she has thousands that pretty much live there. I guess there's some of them are migratory, so they leave part of the year. But oh my gosh, there's so many. So she went out of town and had me watching her hummingbirds and filling the feeders, and yeah, that's quite something.
What kind are those out there that you have?
Oh, I don't know. There's like maybe 4 or 5 different kinds.
Wow.
Get the names.
All we get is out here. It's ruby throated. The male has the right in here is red, and the females are green and white. The females aren't unpleasant to look at, but the male is the beaut. But we've had about 12, I think, this year, and I've got 4 feeders. So 4 feeders, 12 birds, and I'm building a deck in the back. Matter of fact, my neighbor's working on it right now. We're going to be probably doubling to go to 8 or more next year. See, I'm thinking about next year already, bobdub. I don't know if you know, Rush, I've had a big health thing going on. I'm in a walker and partly in a wheelchair, and for a while there, I was just about saying, I think I'm just going to dig my grave. It
Oh,
was yeah, it's been a year, I'll tell you what. And then I lost my ex-husband in January. He was the dad to my kids. Then in May, I lost my, no, yeah, end of May, I lost my mom. And Bob Dub, that's how we got close like we are. Bob Dub's daughter, it was almost a year now. So now we have been going through some stuff. Still kicking though, still kicking. And that's one of the reasons why we invited you, Rush. You're one of our cheerleaders. I know you and I kind of wandered away from each other here for a while. It's kind of the way mine's is like for a while you're like, oh, everybody's so, and then you bounce off and you go somewhere and then you pop back in. But I remember there was a time when you were having it rough and I was doing okay. And it just seems like that. So you were one of those early ones there that was the more than just a channel, you know, the kind, caring type. So
yeah.
and I know
There's
Bob
all
does.
types of minds out there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I know you and Bob Dub connected too, so I thought this would be a really good talk to have the three of us together because we're looking for people that are kind of on that wavelength that are already connected with however you want to call it, the bigger than us. And it's I think it's making connections there in minds. It's really weird. But you and I have gone back a ways, and you and Bob Dub have too, haven't you? Quite a while.
Yeah, yeah. Well, since almost since you came to Mines, I think I always like helping out the new minds and like figuring out the space is helps me learn too. So, yeah. And then she's got such great eye for taking pictures and an artistic, vision about stuff. So that's I like that. I like following her progress.
I like your channel too because you have that. It's so grounded. A lot of it when you're. I notice when I really feel like flustered. Those are some of the channels I go to. Yours and there's another one, positive something. But there's a couple of channels like that. KBLS, KIBLS. I can't remember all their names, but there's so many of them that they have that tone. That we talked about that too. Bob Deb was saying the other day. You go look at a channel and you kind of see the person in that channel, what they like, what they reminded, what they talk about. And that's where the connection that we're seeing kind of runs it's like there's a vibe out there. We don't even really, we might bounce off each other, but we come back. It's those, there's an extra spirit there, you know? It's what I like about mines.
Yeah, I think that, Rush, I've said to you, how are you? And you've said, inside I'm doing really, really well.
Yeah, yeah, sure, yes, for sure.
How do you
Really well.
how do you keep yourself grounded? Like I know that we've talked about meditation and things before, but like what's your routine?
Mm.
What's your mental health, your sort of inner zen?
Well, it really just depends on my condition. If it's an emergency, the best thing for me is to go out and sit on the earth and be on the dirt and uh, just relax. Get your body out of that fight or flight mode and stress reaction response to everything in life, and really just kind of find not only the earth center or the center of things around you, but your own center. So often I'll find myself out in the yard making friends with a little patch of earth and just letting go of stuff, getting to know things like you're just meeting it for the first time.
It's funny you say that, Rush, because that's something I didn't do it today because I've just had one of those days. But almost every day, I will either go out on my porch. I've got a ramp where my wheelchair or my walker that I walk down, and it's in the sun, and I've got the porch part that's covered. But I'll go in the sun, sit my chairs, my son or grandson will put them out, and I lay back in that sun and I'm gone. I don't know how else to put it, but I go out there and I lose, there could be things going on, people cutting grass, having conversations, and I'm off. There's something about that warm sunlight, and it's a wooden deck, but sometimes I'll even get up after I've meditated and I'll go stand. I can't sit in the dirt anymore, but I will stand in it. There's something about putting your bare feet, your body out there. And my son has said you need to learn how to meditate in the house, but there's something about being outside. It is just, I even go out in the winter and we get cold here, but if it's not super, super cold, I will go out even in the winter because I can't connect. It's not the same in here. You can, but it's harder. Is that what you think? You feel it that way too?
I don't know. It's just difficult. I mean, you're waiting for something that's never going to arrive. So it's difficult, but that's the practice. Is you're waiting for nothing.
Yeah, you really are.
Yeah,
it's when you
but
quit.
that's where you find the things you're looking for.
Mhm. I used to have to quit thinking, or I'd have a thought, and my son would say, think of it like a cloud and push the cloud away. But I don't have to do that anymore. I kind of have this little talk. I kind of talk, and it talks back. However, we call it love now because the word for God, everybody gets so aggravated over the words. So we say, what is God? God is love. So I'll get out there and at first I'll be talking and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom. And then it's like you're with it. I don't know how else to put it. Like at least it's happened with me. I can actually be up there and almost a few times I have turn around and actually seen my body blow. Now that's very rare, but there is a connection where you can get so into whatever that bigger thing is that it's like, this thing is. Have you ever done that, Rush, or am I weird? I know I'm weird.
Well, that's what makes you special, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
There is an energy that you get out of the connection with nature, isn't there? Do you still live in the woods?
Uh-huh.
And you
Yeah.
spend a lot of time there, or?
Yeah. I do a lot of land management, so I spend most of my time outside and just like surveying, really. It's like, but no, I get some work done from time to time. There's a lot of trees that fall and a lot of fire abatement.
Yeah.
It's pretty much constant work. You're happy to do the investigating.
But what a
So we
wonderful,
have,
what a lifestyle.
yeah. I kind of got plunged into it when I came out here. I became a camp host, and so I lived 24/7, way out, like beyond everything, and that was so cool. There was a river, and the river would swell up and cut me off from civilization. I'd be the only one out there for a couple of months. Um, yeah, and so it was that like really got in tune there for a bit.
Mm. The solitude, you mean, just being you in nature.
Yeah, I guess solitude, a lot of solitude, but being with people was cool too. I mean, everybody's sort of in the same predicament. We're out there with nothing, and whether there's people or not, nature is pretty overwhelming. I remember this one time, I kind of was in like a little canyon, and this eagle flew over one day and it let out a screech in the sky, and every animal in the whole valley went silent. And you could, like, all of a sudden you were like, whoa, there was so much noise and now it is completely silent. Everything looked up to the sky and was like, ooh.
Get me. Gosh.
Yeah.
That's something that's special to me is those birds of prey. When my mom died, I saw it was the day before, or the day after, I saw this hawk circling the house. And I'd never seen a hawk over there. I imagine they probably have a few times, but this one, it just kept going around and around. And it felt like it was more than just a hawk. It felt like a message to me that every time I see one, I think of my mom now, because that was the day that I was really first hit by it. I was out there just hurting so bad, and it was a hawk. And we have bald eagles here. We're right on the Mississippi. We're just across from St. Louis, a little bit north of St. Louis. We have bald eagles year round, all the time. And one year we had a really strange thing. It was a female and two males bringing up babies. It was so rare. And they had a live feed of the nest. So these birds are, we had the hummingbird things and now the birds of prey. It's just something about, I love these birds. And when you do hear them, it's majestic. There's something about them. They're just, So we have that in common too. And you saw a hawk too, didn't you, bobdub? That you put up on the video. You had was it an eagle?
My mum's been very sick, very ill, and in hospital. And she had to have some surgery where they she had an internal bleed. So they had to put a camera in and find out where the bleeding was. And so I just went out in the orchard just to make my mum a little happy. And yeah, there was this huge, great bird. I don't know, they don't have many birds of prey here. So it may have just been a falcon, but just circling and circling and playing in the wind. What are the ones that you brought up or that you photographed, Rush, when they were growing up in was it a shed?
Oh, those were house finches.
So you followed them
Yeah.
from eggs?
Well, I followed them from when they started making nests.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they kept coming in because I had the door open, and then one morning I saw they were building the nest, and I was like, okay, so I started leaving the door open, and then I mean, just pretty much they made it their home.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you?
We have house finches here. Are they red? We have one that's got kind of an orangish red chest, a house finch.
Yeah, the male was red.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something we have. We had one that actually we had a little on our windows. We have one of those ones you stick to the window. And this is a while ago in another house, and it actually had babies in the little window thing. It's so cool. I love them too. I just love birds. I don't know what it is about birds, but it's funny. We've all got the same thing. Birds, same situations. Another cool.
It was so neat watching them that, man, and they knew that I was watching them. I remember filming one time, and the male did a lot of the lookout, like, okay, it's clear, and she'd come in and feed, and then then she would take off, and then he maybe had some to feed them, so he would feed them, and then he'd turn around and look right at me and fly right towards me, and then around. I was just, wow.
Yeah, I haven't had that with the finches, but you had them right there. But I've had the hummingbirds do that. They'll come right up to my nose, just inches, and just hover there like, hi. It's so funny to see them do it. But they have a personality. And I have another person I used to be really close with online. He ran into a mourning dove, and it was hurt. I don't know what happened to it, but something was wrong with its wing. He is raising a mourning dove. So there's something about birds and connection that seems to be, I don't know, maybe we all like them because they're all connected better. I don't know.
Maybe it's free. Maybe we're all feeling so oppressed at the moment and so manipulated. And you look up, the birds are so free.
You probably don't feel that way, do you, Rush? You're out in the middle of nowhere. But do you feel it still? All this pressure with the masks and vaccinating or not vaccinating and social, all the baloney. Are you experiencing that?
I have. I don't think any one of us can really escape it. But that is something that kind of leads me to something that I wanted to say, is why that it doesn't necessarily affect me all the time, and why I think that it does affect other people more than others. And that's because, a lot of people, I guess, they use the term they, or, these nefarious people that are trying to control us and things like that. And so when we're reacting to all these things these pressures, um, it's really not our authentic self. It's not the place that we're trying to come from or we'd like to come from. And instead of reacting to those things, I try and just react to who I am and where I'm coming from without all of that on me. And yeah, it's there and I'm going to have to deal with it. But living from a place that isn't in response to bullshit is a little bit more authentic in who I am. So that gives me a better footholding, I suppose, of not going completely crazy.
Mm-hmm. I think I noticed with me, I have a side of me that is a gregarious. I do meet people, but I have a big part of me that wants to be alone a lot. I need it. It's not something that would be nice, it's required for me. I have to have, because I think I'm still learning that authenticity, because I don't like wearing masks. Before this all started, I was one of those people. I'm trying to be, what you see is what you get, no matter where I'm at. If I'm at work or with my family, I've tried really hard not to be different. But you do notice it when you go out, and sometimes I'm getting more reactionary, like, oh, I'm not going to wear a mask I'm not going to just because you say so. But that's not settled either, because if you, like you were saying, are so sure of who you are, you wouldn't get ruffled by any of that. And I still get ruffled. I'm learning.
That's good.
And poor bobdub, you're in a total lockdown where you're at.
I'm lucky
I don't
that
know.
we aren't. Our capital city is in a complete lockdown, and my two eldest children are locked inside the city. And it's really been a thing for me to have to give it away and say there is actually nothing I can do. And a lot of people here, there's a daily briefing on COVID, how many new cases we have and how many are in hospital, a daily briefing of about an hour. And I know people who regularly, every single day, catch that show. Nothing else. They're not interested in any other news, but it's just this, that's their entire lives. COVID has now become everything. And I think, like you, Rush, I mean, I'm out in the open, I can walk around the orchard. I'm not confined to a house.
I'm not really confined to a house either, and thank God I'm in an area. Illinois is considered a blue state. Not where I'm at. We are right by St. Louis, and St. Louis is kind of a mix. The county is pretty red. The city is blue as blue can get. But this neighborhood that I'm in this whole town, actually, this county, the mayor said we all have to wear masks indoors. Oh, there might be a few here, but for the most part, everybody's acting like, did you hear that? I didn't hear that. We're going the freedom route and trying to keep that without, again, that reactionary. That's in my name. You can tell that it's hard for me because I changed my name. I was Rebel Cat. For the longest time, I was just Teresa at tomtomandt. I got tired of that. And Rush, you helped me. Back when I was going through that evolution, Rush was the one that he and Chris both set up my banner and my little avatar. So I've been Rebel Cat. I'm the reactionary one. And it's so hard to move from, I changed it for a little while to revolutionary, but I was putting the L like love Rebel. That didn't work either. So I went back to Rebel Cat, but I know there's a better level than what I'm at. I just think that maybe that's my job. I'm the rebel, and somebody else can take it easy because I'm the one out there raising all the ruckus and calling out the alarm. And
But
as much as I want to sit here and behave myself, I just can't.
it's really hard to do what you say, though, Rush. Don't you think?
Get it?
It's really, really hard to. I find it's really hard to not react. How do you not react?
Sure.
You yourself.
I didn't say it's possible to not react. It's just you have to do your best to not react because you'll end up in an emergency situation where you have to ground and or you're going to die. I mean, and in all of this, all what's best for you or what's best for me, and all the discussion and argument about it all, it's always going to boil down to a person's attitude. That's the most influential part of your life, health, whatever, business.
Yeah.
It's your attitude.
It is, yeah.
So, we need to react so we can kind of navigate things. But if you're always reacting, you don't give your body a chance to heal, rest, recover, you're going to get strung out. You're going to end up, drinking coffee every day or some sort of, you're going to start using crutches. And, you could get so pinpointed into this thing you think you got to do that you end up forgetting how to live.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You use music a lot, don't you, as a form of expression?
Yes, sure.
What instruments do you play?
I play the guitar, I play the flute, I sing.
You sing, yeah?
Yeah.
That is so cool because I can't play guitar, but bobdub just bought one. And I play saxophone and sing. But I used to play the piano, and I've been so out of it I can't. But that is something when I really can't handle another second of life, whatever it is, the first thing I do is turn on the music. I wish I was able to, I can with my horn, but then I have to plug it in and all that. I wish I could just strum along. But what I do, I find something that I like, and I love a lot of old 70s and 80s music. It's just what I grew up with. Even some 60s. I listen to all kinds of stuff, but for some reason, when I turn on that music, there'll be a song there, and it's like, oh, did you hear what that just said? It just hits me right between the eyes. And that's something else I have to tell you about Minds. I'm not going to say the channel name. And if I did, people would go, oh, you're talking about that guy? This guy has a pretty iffy reputation, but he's still popular. And I was on here one night late, and I had a bad headache, and I felt awful. And I couldn't even listen to my own music. And I just happened to be chatting with him in a comment on something. And I said, I got a headache. I can't think. He sent me some of the most beautiful music. And he said, listen to this one and this one and this one. Music does it, doesn't it? There's something. I know that thing, the phrase, music hath charms to soothe the savage. And it's not beast, it's breast. It's the savage breast. And when you get that way, like Rush was saying, sometimes if you're one like me, that I'm still trying to learn how to control my emotions. I'm older now, and I have more of this testosterone that we older women get, but I still have all those emotions that women have. And I'm having to learn to stuff that down and be more mature. I'm now the matriarch of the family. But when I get like that and nothing else works, the music is there's something there. You cannot deny the power of music. But when you put yourself into it, if you're singing it or you're playing the guitar, there's another level. And I really need to get back to that. I'll sing along, but there's something about in making your own music. I used to do that with the piano. Do you write your own, Rush? Or just mess around?
Yeah, I write my own music.
We're going to have you come back. We've been talking about how we're going to do these things, and I think we're going to have everybody back for a second show. Hopefully, you'll do us a song maybe next time.
Hopefully, Rush.
Of course, yes, of course.
Really like to hear about your art, how you got into making the art, and where you're at right now.
How did I get into making art? I really like learning how to use tools, and so art is a great byproduct of using tools. So the funner the tool, the more time I spend using it, and yeah.
So do you work on your phone or on a computer?
Mostly on the phone for the stuff I post on Minds. Yeah, I use the bunch of different apps and just mess around and kind of figure stuff out. So a lot of developers out there making cool stuff, and yeah, I mean, if you can like actually imagine wanting to do something, you can find the tool to do it.
Oh,
It's out there.
oh, really? So you're saying that research is a big part of what you do?
Research?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm best at is research. Yeah. I'm not that necessarily the best at trying to come to a conclusion about that research, but yeah. Oh, I wanted to know about the orchard, Bob. You have to go. What grows in your orchard?
We have kiwi fruit here, 4 hectares of kiwi fruit, and another 4 hectares of avocado trees. So the kiwi fruit are all farmed out. Well, they're under a management company, but the avocados are my babies, the trees. And they're real problem trees, especially New Zealand is very, very wet and cold all winter. So we have the 6 cold months of sodden soil. So the roots get root rot in the trees. So then you don't get them producing. So my happy job is that I go around all the trees and drill about up to 20 holes in the trunk and inject phosphoric acid into the trees to kill their roots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
It's kind of gardening, but it's such an unusual type of gardening. And it's
Mm-hmm.
in nature all day. I'm there with the birds, which make a racket, and then every now and then around me there's a big thud. At first I used to get really scared of it, but it's avocados. They fall off the trees. So there's this absolute quiet and the birds, and then boom.
What about spiders? Is there big spiders?
Nothing. New Zealand is the strangest, bizarrest land. There's nothing. There were no mammals here, I think, or 1 or 2 little mammals. Everything here was bird life. So
Wow.
there's no thorns. You can walk through the bush, and it's just all this soft rainforest and ferns and moss. No centipedes, no snakes.
Wow.
No snakes?
No, not one snake in the It's like coming
Wow.
from Africa to here, and I'm like, you people are so soft, man. And the only spider that they have here that's poisonous at all, it's about that big, and it's got a little white dot on its tail, and apparently they float on the wind, and they floated over from Australia. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But you have
We have
owls, right? I'm going back to you now. Owls, tell me of your owls. We have an owl here called a moorpork because it cries moo,
A what? A what?
moorpork, the owl,
Oh.
and that's its call. Moorpork.
I haven't heard that calling here. He must not live here.
No.
We have a great horned owl and a smaller screech owl. I think there might be two different kinds of screech owl. But the great horned owl, he's huge.
How big? How actual big? Big as an eagle?
Oh no, probably not that big. But his wingspan's definitely bigger than 8 feet. I mean, bigger than 6 feet.
What?
Yeah,
Ooh,
he's pretty. He's probably a little over 6 feet wingspan.
how fabulous.
We have an owl too. I think it's a great horned owl that's across the street in the trees that I see every day when I go out front. That thing is huge. And he had a female that wasn't, I could hear her, never see her, but I could hear him. He makes this whoop, whoop. You can hear it at night when it gets really quiet. He's way up in that tree. I've never seen him but one time, once. And that thing, I mean, he is huge, big old thing. And we have have you ever seen the red-headed woodpeckers out there? We have those here.
Yeah, is the acorn peckers?
Acorn?
Acorn?
We don't. I don't think we have the woodpecker. I have like they peck holes in everything and store acorns in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Never heard of that.
They're awful little bird. Very smart, but they just damage everything.
Yeah.
And make a racket. It's like we got the whole neighborhood knocking at the door in the morning. We're like, ah!
Oh, what fun! What fun! Better than having a rooster.
Oh, roosters. Yeah.
I would love a rooster. He would eat the mice.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh yeah, and the hens too. I would love to have some hens and a rooster.
Me too. We're talking about there's somebody I know that has chickens and they know how to raise chickens. One of these days I'm going to talk. They're very shy people, but they know how to raise these chickens. And my neighborhood, we're not supposed to have in the city limits, but this is a little tiny town. It is literally right on the river and it comes up. There's low towns parts, there's high parts, but it's spread out. There's all kinds of room. And you don't have, from what I understand, you don't have to have a rooster. Is that correct? Or do you have to?
No, you should. Well, it depends if you want babies. If you want babies,
I
you
want
need the dad.
eggs.
But if you
Okay, then I
have
do
if you
need
run
it.
your chickens with a rooster, you have a chance of getting fertilized eggs.
Okay, then I would want to.
Yeah, you would
Well,
like.
anyway, they were telling me how to have it. They said you can build, they showed me how they built their hen house and everything. And I have a huge backyard. It's wild right now. It's all it is an easement between two streets, but it's big. It looks like a little miniature woods that goes right between these two streets. If I cut some of that back, we've got like 8 feet we could move back, and I want to put a little hen house back there. I'm already planning it, and we got the deck almost done. So,
Rush, I've got 5 more minutes, but before I let you go, you told me that you have minted an NFT of your neighbor's dog. I'm really keen to learn how you minted it and what programs you used and what you learned.
What did I use for that one? I used OpenSea, and I just made. It was my first, and that was my first NFT, and it was sort of a just an experiment to see the platform and everything. But I've been sort of doing the same theme. I just make them as gifts, and I give them to my clients. So whatever it is that I'm like doing, like for her, I take care of her dog. So it was her and her dog, and then now I'm just kind of working with the metadata and trying to kind of add some sort of value or function to it. And yeah, it's cool. Some of them that I've made are cool.
Well, look, it's been absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful talking to you, Rush, and seeing you again. It's been like about 3 years, I think, since we last had a chat.
Wow.
And I'm so sorry that I have to go, but will you come back?
oh, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
we had a terrible time with these technological problems, but yeah, we didn't get enough time. I really want you to come back.
Okay.
But fantastic. Thank you so much, and so lovely seeing you and seeing you look so well.
Yeah, you look
Awesome.
fresh. Nice to see you.
See you
Good
soon.
to see you too.
Bless you.
Have a
Have
wonderful
a
day.
lovely day.
Yeah, you
Bye.
too.
Bye, Teresa. Bye. And now
Oh,
this meeting, and it won't pick up the page. Hold up. Let's see what you can do. Yes, I wonder. What did you think about Rush?
I wish we had more time. I was just getting really into what he was saying, and I haven't really talked to Rush that much lately. So it was like reconnecting with them. But then when we got going, we were talking about the same stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we were, weren't we? But we just didn't. I mean, missing those few minutes, those 15 or 20 minutes at the beginning, just killed,
Yeah.
I think.
You know what got
Yep.
me though? The second thing,
Yes.
when he was talking about not being reactionary, to be
Yeah.
so centered that, I was thinking about that. People are in prison, but the prison walls don't lock them in. You were saying the other day, what would happen if we got locked down? And I started to think, he's where I need to be. I want to talk to him more
It was strong,
because,
wasn't it? Yes. Yes. Do you think we can
yes,
try and schedule an
because we were just getting to
the
the core.
yeah.
Because the part with the NFT was, I knew you two had that in common, and hearing you two talking about it, it's like you're fleshing out for me what it is.
Me?
And that was something that I learned,
Yes.
but then oh, you're already there at peace, and I'm still being this rebel.
You know, I have been trying to learn about it for about 5 months, 4 or 5 months, right? And so I got this place. It's called Mango Farm, and it's on one of these blockchain places, and they call it the test net, not the real net. So they have
Mhm.
this place where they give you pretend money, and you jump in and use all the tools and you make the stuff. Okay. So it was working almost up until the week that I tried it. And then something went wrong and the devs didn't bring it back. So the only way
Oh,
I can do it now is to actually test it out on the real net, but when you do these, it's like a tree. You you buy an asset, right? So you buy the asset, so you would call it, say, Rebel Cat, and you pay, say, like $10, I don't know. And then you buy sub assets. So you will buy this asset for like 20 cents or something, and you fill in your details, what that thing is. So imagine it's your meme of watch out when grandma is coming. So you have this thing that you have to put in your name, the creation date, how big it is, I don't know, just blah blah for selling it. And
mhm.
then at the bottom of this little form, you click on this link and it says load your picture. So this little picture that you the meme that you've done, you load a little thumbnail of that.
Hmm.
Then you click this button that says mint, and boom, you get this long, like, internet letter thing name, and they code it, they encrypt it. So when the person buys it, right, they have got that little thumbnail to see what they're buying and the details. And those details, so then that file, that long name like this, is stored next to the actual original photo that or meme that you made. So when somebody buys that for, I don't know, like say you sell it for 50 cents or $100, they've sent one sold recently, but like a high class artist, for something like $500,000. I know. So part of it is that it's a new thing, and all these young people with money that they've made on the computers are all playing this game. So somebody
Mhm.
thinks that one is the one that's going to have value. So they jump in and they buy it. But it's kind of like baseball cards. You know how
Mhm.
what the card? So that's the idea of NFTs, and it came from games. Well, and I know my son did on Steam. You know Steam.
Yeah, we have Steam.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can buy special guns and things on Steam.
Right.
So you can do that on an NFT, and you can sell them the special gun. So Steam could make all their little bits as NFTs. Then, if somebody sells the gun to somebody else, the NFT goes with it, and there's the record of the other guys who owned it before.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
if you say buy an NFT of Julian Assange, then for the entire rest of that NFT's life, it has the record that once Julian Assange owned this.
So you have like a chain of custody almost thing.
And as an artist, you are allowed to, you can choose if you want to retain the copyright. So the person buys it to own the image and to use the image, say for their magazine or their website or whatever it is. Or their kids that collecting memes. I don't know all the different things, but this is what I'm trying to learn. So I know little things about it that are enough to make me think, wow, I'd quite like to play this game too. And if we start getting into it and we start doing a sort of a football cards, baseball cards, and we do it with memes and swap it around on Minds for 50 cents a go, just as a practice thing. Let's get into this, guys. We're all grannies. I don't know. Just let's play.
Yeah, Chris did something. What was that he was doing? He was selling some kind of coin. I asked him about it, but we didn't get into it too much.
Yeah, we have to find that out. I don't understand that at all.
He had 100 only.
But they're saying what's going to happen is that, okay, so the blockchain that I was talking to you about, that you can mint these coins on, the one that you buy the big thing and get the little, that's called Raven coin. So it's not known at all, but the people who started it off had this idea that in Africa, or in the countries where people are very poor, they have no way to show that the land that they own is their land. So there's no title deeds or anything. So what happened in Rhodesia when it changed over to Zimbabwe was that they foreclosed all the white farmers' lands and drove the white farmers out of the country. So we lost our land and we were driven out, and thousands of us were. But that happens to the very small little subsistence farmers, because a bigger man, a farmer comes along and wants that land. Oh, you know those stories from the Wild West. You had them there. So with Raven coin, you can make a token, which is worth what, I don't know, $1 or $2 maybe, but it records that that property is yours. And then because it's on this blockchain that is allegedly you can't fraud it. Well, you can change it, but it doesn't live on one person's computer. It's spread out over all the computers in the world. So if one person changes it, but 1 million people has got the same, then you can figure out who the dude was that screwed it up. So it's a sort of a transparency and a sort of an anonymity. Yeah.
I have been stumbling over my tongue all day. I have a vocabulary that I could use, believe me. Yeah. But some days when I try to get those things rolling off the tongue, they're just like...
Me too. I think it's our age. I think it's a thing.
And when I start to get, like today has just been...
No, it's been
almost schizoid.
Yeah.
That is my normal day though, bobdub. That's the way my days are. Today I had the added thing of the guys almost finished my deck. And he came over. He's been doing it without any money. Well, I gave him half.
Okay.
And he's almost at the very end. I know he's like, ugh, because he's got all these things that are hanging up in the air. And I said, I can go ahead and pay you all of it.
Oh.
I came in here. I have money that I kept in my safe, in my drawer. I went to pay him and I thought I was short. I came back and sat down and there was a bunch of $100 bills on the floor.
Ooh.
That is the kind of day I'm having. I'm not sure if I didn't give him all the money or if I had extra money, and that's just, then I come back in here and Boris is on one chat room.
Yeah.
A to the third is on another one. And then you pop in, hey, you want to chat again? I'm like, oh, this is fun. I'm talking to 3 people at once. But my afternoons are like that all the time anymore.
Right.
People will be on Minds, on the main Minds, and they'll say something and they'll go, let's go over to chat. And then I'm over in chat and I see, I guess when I'm gone, sometimes I miss, there's somebody else over there and I'll just quickly run over, oh, hi. And I have these 3-4-way conversations all day long.
How awesome.
Like you were saying, the psychiatrist is in. I don't have a shingle. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, but it's like I should have a little shingle out. Lucy's here. It's so funny though. I feel like taking screenshots when I'm talking to you guys and going, oh, by the way, I'm doing this and this.
Multitask. Yeah.
Oh my God. And then my son will come in and say something like, it's like my brain is just like, antennas everywhere.
Funny.
It's been that kind of day. And when you and I got started and we started having all that trouble, that's why I had to go look at what Boris said, because they always put their praying hands up.
Aww.
And I came back right before you came in and said you wanted to chat again and saw that up there. And I looked at the time. I gave him a screenshot to show him. It was right there between 2:30, 2:50 when we were just.
Wow. Wow.
That was when he was praying.
That's so lovely.
It's just, I told him that you call it spooky action at a distance. He's like, oh, you couldn't say it anymore. Perfect. That's what happens to me all day, every day. And some people say they can't see that God works.
No.
That's the perfect example. I showed him with the screenshot. Here's where you were praying, and here's where we were literally going, there's something keeping us from chatting.
Yes.
And you know what he said? He said, I felt like I needed to pray for you right then.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So when we started chatting a little more, right in the middle of you and me and Antique Arms too, he's like, you know what? I think I should. He was saying he kind of wanted to chat, but he was nervous about it. He was thinking maybe he might lose his job. I'm like, you don't have to go, no video. It can just be.
No.
And he's like, you know what? We were talking about fish. We were talking about aquarium.
Yes.
And we were talking about birds and stuff. And he said, it kind of feels like Jonah. Maybe I should say yes. Yes. He said, maybe if I said no, I'd end up like Jonah and have to go into fish.
Oh, how lovely. Do you know, I think that's the thing that I've had with this, I haven't really been able to make women friends. And having this friendship with you where we're just so similar. I keep on waiting for you to say, well, no, I don't do that. I'm this and this. Or, well, no, but it just doesn't happen. We get, well, I see that from a bit of a different point of view, but I'm sort of, and I keep on thinking, no, it's a conspiracy, everybody's out to get me. And she's only saying yes, just to trick you. And then recently I've been thinking that, before computers, this still used to happen, and we used to call it God back then. Maybe it's still God now. Maybe it's not the computers.
God, I have to quit saying he. because I see it all the time. The proof is in the pudding. And when we were talking with Rush, and he said the same, I have to go outside, I have to meditate. And I'm like, okay, now this is a subject we can really talk about, because that's where you get it. I think that might be why I'm feeling a little scattered right now, because I didn't have my time out on the porch. I didn't have my meditation. I can feel it when I don't have it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And it was just one of those days it just didn't pan out. That there's days it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to talk to Rush more like, okay, how can you meditate anywhere? How do you get from, I can do it easily outside because I feel closer, but God is everywhere. Why is it harder in here?
Yes. Isn't it funny? But do you remember that bit in the Old Testament where David was determined to build the temple of the Lord? And God said to him, no, I live in the tabernacle. I don't have walls keeping me in. And David said, oh no, but I need to make you a temple. So God said, well, all right, I'll compromise, but you can't do it. Only your son can do it. You remember that story?
Yep, I do.
I really remember that original argument with God and David, saying, I am not a God that stays inside houses. And I thought, I understand that it's a story about the transition from the nomadic lifestyle to the settled lifestyle and what they were going to do with their church that they carried in a box and their church that. So I understand it's a big philosophical argument, but still, as a conversation between God and the king, it's like, I'm not inside, I'm outside.
And remember what I said, the old Paleo Hebrew, the Aleph and the Beta?
Oh, yeah.
One of those, the Proto or Paleo Hebrew, I'm not sure which one, but the early Hebrew, one of them, I think it was the Aleph, it means that God pitches the tent with us. And those were nomadic people.
Yes.
But it wasn't a building. It was just a semi-protection from, a tent is not a building. And when I think of a tent, what is a tent? It's like a covering, right? So even outside, there's still that covering of the world, the sky. It's still up there, but it's like God is right with me. And I can't get that same, it's the same thing going to a church.
Hello. Well.
There you are. I'm here.
Thank goodness. I don't know what's with this thing these days. Honestly.
I don't either. It's been a weird day for the computer.
It's been a real weird day for the computer, hasn't it? Intensely weird. Anyway.
The only place I haven't had trouble was in the typing chat.
Oh, right, yes. Well, I don't know whether it's us or them.
Yeah, I don't either. But it was here on Google Meet that it froze up.
Yes, absolutely. As weird as. Oh well.
Yeah.
We've said before that this is a bigger plan than us. That when things go wrong.
Yeah, there must be a reason, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just talking to Boris before this, and I was like, is there something interfering, or is it, yeah, who knows?
Yes.
But it seems like today has been one of those days where we really have to depend on more than ourselves.
Yes.
Because when we were kicked out, when you had to leave and everything, then I was there when Antique Arms was wanting somebody to look at what he'd done for the day, and things just work out the way they do. Like we said, 8/28. I know that day is a hard day, but it just keeps all things work together.
It's not the hard day. The sad thing about that is that all her life I didn't know. And then she died, and then you told me her birthday was 8/28. I mean, and of all the passages in the whole world, I hope she knew that.
Oh man, I did.
Anyway, she does now, and it's over. So
Yeah, I know. It's just that it just keeps coming back to me. I can't forget that my husband's mom and dad got married on that day because that meant so much to them. So it echoes in my head everywhere I go. No matter how bad things are, no matter how weird things get,
Mm, mm.
when you look at it a couple of days later or a couple of months later, it's like, oh yeah,
Yes,
that's
isn't it? Yeah. It's much easier to be able. It's much easier to do it later.
like this fall. I know the guys probably don't see it this way. The fall that I had, it was earth shattering to me. It was because it really hit home to me how fragile I'm getting.
Okay.
And I do need help. But it hit them too because now my son is cooking like,
Okay.
oh, mom, don't bother. I'm cooking. I'm fine.
Yes.
And today when I went in there, he was almost completely done because of that break that when you were off and had your appointment, we ate dinner because it's later here. He came in to tell me while we were still chatting, I'm cooking. By the time I got out there, all I had to do was put the plates on. He had almost everything done.
Yeah.
I'm like, so it worked, even though it was painful.
Yes. Yes.
It kind of,
Mm,
they saw for real,
mm.
you know, now they're going, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think that that was the same with the video this morning.
Sorry to make you hungry.
That's okay. But it is.
Okay.
This is personal between you and me. We are kind of doing our own therapy, aren't we?
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's a language we have in common and we can share. And it is powerful. Like Boris and Kira just showed me with their praying right at that. I can prove to you prayer works. It works.
Yes.
And we say, all I can do is pray.
Yes.
All I can do is pray.
Right. Yeah.
But Justin told me something, and I'm starting to do it because I usually pray in my head. I don't say, especially outside when I'm on the front porch.
Yes.
Now on the back deck, I'll probably start praying out loud, but I usually pray
Yes.
quietly.
Yes.
He said, Mom, you need to pray into the air. It is right, because the voice, the sound waves, and they've said that when you talk, especially with English, it's like casting a spell. Literally, what are you when you're writing? You're spelling.
Yes. Wow. No.
And he said, Mom, it's important. Pray out loud.
Wow.
This grounding I get, like you were saying, you know, me off in my own little crazy mind, I can get some really wild thoughts sometimes, and I'll say something to them like, oh, I was praying. No, you pray out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a very good discipline. Maybe we should start doing that, you and I.
Yeah,
Like,
like that day that we had the prayer when I didn't pray with my eyes closed, but it's still important.
cool. That was still when I went over and edited it. I watched that part about 4 or 5 times. It just felt really strong for me. We'd already been
It's
talking about it. It kind of was good, but then when I heard it as a prayer, and I sort of felt that I was inside a communication of you and me and God. It just made, and having it on record, having it and being able to experience it again, that was something very new for me.
when I go back, and sometimes I'll go back and look at a couple of the old ones that are already up, and there's these moments in it, like that moment when you got the 828 thing. I go back and look at that again, and I'm like, oh, it's still. And everybody I've talked to that wants to come on, they all, oh, I've watched the show. They're really interested. I'm ready.
Wow, really?
The power must be coming through it. My son used it. He used to have a YouTube channel too. He got his channel taken down, but when he got his channel taken down, he didn't do another one. He said, that's it, I'm done.
Right.
And I think that's what made him where he's like, the heck with being online. But he did. He made beautiful videos. He put music to it.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But now he just dropped it like a hot potato. But
Right.
anything that is computer related, that kid can.
Right. Yeah. See,
See, I do it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you okay, my grandson?
No, I'm just trying to annoy you.
We'll
I'm
have
trying to
cut
lose your
that.
mind. Just trying to make you wear a
See what
straight
my
jacket.
life is like? It's
Well,
oh
maybe
man.
Lucas should come on the
Speaking
show.
of heaven, I know you lost your mind. I'll haunt you anyway.
He's been having a time. He wasn't feeling good. I think he's got to touch base more when he's get. Have you noticed he's been in and out a lot?
Yes, yes.
It's okay, buddy.
I'm staying in until I die. Slow, painful death.
How's school going, Lucas?
Oh, he just walked back out of the room.
Okay.
He's doing really good, but he's not. I was overdoing it after talking to you earlier. I'm trying to keep him for too many hours.
Wow.
Just he's autistic, and I'm trying to do 4 hour, 5 hours all total a day.
Well,
There's no.
even at school, they probably do. I reckon in the senior classes when I was teaching, I reckon if my kids did half an hour work per lesson, I was really, really happy with them. And
Yeah.
we would have like 6 lessons a day. So over the entire day, they might do 3 concentrated hours of learning.
Yeah. And I'm doing at least 2 back here with me, and then he reads on his own, plus in the kitchen every day. So I think I was trying to do way too much.
Yeah.
So next week I'm out of the habit, because we had the whole summer, and it's like, okay, now what? Because last year I was trying to keep him basically on a curriculum. I changed my mind about it, because school, I'm thinking, what does he really need to know? Does he need to know algebra like I learned? Does he need to know all the junk that we learned? He needs to know practical stuff. For him. I'm teaching him the basics. I've got change here. We literally count real money. He's autistic, so some things are hard for him.
Yes.
And there's other things I don't have to beg him to read. He'll go in his room and read for hours. He's got the basic stuff down, and why should he go to school and learn all that nonsense that is never going to. Somebody put up online today, did you ever use algebra one day after you left high school? And I'm thinking, is he ever going to use all this stuff I'm teaching him? So I'm going to change how I teach. I'm going to change real life, real practical. When I'm making an order for food, I'm going to have him sit. It's got to be, I think they call that unschooling now, just living real life. And even when we're at the kitchen table and we're talking about things, and his uncle will bring up something, like today we were talking about the Constitution. Now our Constitution, there's a warning on it. Above the Constitution on whitehouse.gov or whatever, where you find this stuff, it's got a warning, harmful language on the Constitution. So my son and I are sitting there talking about this, and Lucas is learning while we're sitting there talking.
Yes.
And Justin said the other day to me, he said, Mom, do you think that when there was homeschooling that the mom kept their kids in the cabin all day and had them reading, writing, and arithmetic the whole time? No, they were out in the field with them too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what the summer break is about, is that the farmers needed the kids for harvest.
Yep.
And then they found that the children from disadvantaged families, they found that the summer break was so long and the children were so uninvolved with their families that by the time they came to the next year, they'd unlearned a lot of the stuff from the last year. And so that's why disadvantaged children stay disadvantaged, is because like the farming system where the family gets out together and works together is part of schooling, and was sort of built into the people who set up the schooling system, and they brought in another culture into that system without changing to
the system,
just to that culture's system. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this big,
and when you
discrepancy.
Special needs, you got the same thing. They don't fit into the system.
They don't fit into the system. Yeah. No. And it doesn't matter if they're special needs with more ability or special needs with less ability. It's anybody who is not average does not fit in to the school system. Kind of going on and on, but it's just it's been a
I know,
really
but you
hard thing.
touched on something right there, you know, because you and I have had tools. I didn't, my family was what I'd call upper middle class, but they never lived like it. My dad lived like he was the working class, like his dad. You know, that's the way he was raised. That I'm finding out that he had pretty good amount of money socked away. But I did have that. I had counseling, I had schooling. I never completely finished schooling, but I went to school for quite a few. I went 3 times. Still don't have a degree, but I'm also autodidactic, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But it was we had that privilege. I don't like that word. We had that opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yeah, we did, because now I don't have it now. I don't have that kind of money now. So I can kind of see. But I also had that beginning that they didn't have. And it's something that really bothers me. It's not racism. That's not what's the problem. But there's those kids that grow up down in these. There's just a few blocks from me. It's almost a ghetto. Alton is a weird town. There's houses here that are worth millions of dollars.
Yes.
And in a few blocks, because it's an old Underground Railroad town, a lot of Black people have been here for a long, long time.
Right.
So there's wealthy areas, and then
Yes.
a block over so I know what a ghetto looks like.
Yes.
And those kids, even though they're right here in this town,
Yeah.
where these beautiful mansions are a few blocks away, are underserved, undercared for.
Yes.
Their mothers have to work, because the way the welfare works here in the United States, they're making women work to get money. So if you're underprivileged and you've got a child, you're gone all day, somebody else is taking care of your child. You might not even have some adequate care.
Yes.
So when they're home, they might not be running the streets. And those kids don't have the same chance. They don't. They really don't. But it's not skin color.
No, it's not skin color.
It's economic.
Yeah.
It's an economic thing.
And it's not education either. Because like you and I have got adequate education. I'm overeducated. And with all my education, I could not pick myself up out of the ditch.
No. And as hard as it was for us, imagine how hard it is for them.
That's right. Yeah.
Ah.
And I think that's
why
it's so intense for me and so personal for me, because I see myself as an incredibly privileged, rich, white person who grew up in Africa in terrible, terrible civil war circumstances, where my side had all the power and their side bore all the brutality, not from us, but from these Chinese trained terrorists. And sorry, I don't know, it's white privilege. When I hear people talk about white privilege and it doesn't exist, I know that it does exist. It might not be for normal white people, but for those of us who have lived in very, very poor areas of the world and seen the type of privilege that our society gives us, you know, not because we're white, but because maybe it should be called Western privilege or something. Or Chinese privilege, or I don't know, you know, I'm sure that there are.
But the fact still remains that we had, even with all that extra stuff, we're in the same boat.
We're in the
same
boat. Yeah.
Even though we're in the same boat, we know that their boat's got more holes in it. They have more holes.
Yes.
And I haven't seen a country like you have. I've just been right here in the United States, but there are places that I could go to, like Mississippi, for example.
Yes.
You go to the middle of the nowhere in Mississippi, and it looks like Africa.
Yes.
Shacks and people just barely making it. Yeah. And the businesses are folded up and gone. And I don't know.
To ask a rude question, how many of people in those areas are white?
There's a lot of poor white people in the South.
Right.
It's not just Black people. Oh yeah, there's the Appalachian areas down in North Carolina, West Virginia. Some of those, they call them hollers. It's a weird culture down there, Appalachia culture.
Yeah, I've heard that Appalachia is very strange. Yes,
it is very strange. They're mostly Scots-Irish, so that they have a kind of culture of their own. but very, very, very poor people. So poor that they have to go out and hunt. I mean, these people are the kind that won't go get food stamps because of their pride.
Yes, yes.
So you got that kind, but then you've got these other ones, like in Mississippi, that their family never recovered from slavery. Slavery, it's not just in the United States, but it did make a bad mess for us here.
It was very,
because
very sad.
people don't understand what happened. My family was on both sides of it. We had slaves. My earliest ancestor that came from, he was a Norman French soldier. He was for the English crown. He was a soldier. He came over here. They gave him land for retirement because he was way up in rank. And when he first got here, they had slaves. This was in the 1600s. But as time went on, it got where there were less and less. But before the Civil War, our family just had gone against slavery, became abolitionists, let all their slaves free, and gave them land, and they turned into sharecroppers.
Right.
So I've seen it all the way through. But not everybody down there had that chance. A lot of people, when the Emancipation Proclamation came out and they found out about it, they called it the separation. To the Black people, it was a horrible time. Yes. They were told they could have a mule and 40 acres of land. Most of them did never get that. And most of them wandered all over, were homeless. They've never really recovered from that. Honestly, you go down and look in some of those southern states, it's, oh my gosh, our country is such a jigsaw puzzle. Privilege, and whatever you want to call it, pockets of money here, pockets of people that are doing well, and then this huge swath that's just the inequality is just crazy. But it's not because my skin is this color and theirs is that color, at least not on our level. Institutionally, though, this whole country, you got another story.
Oh, and not your country, the entire world is like
the entire world. Yep. And if we can't make it, how much harder it is. That's why we haven't talked to any girls that much yet, but I know they're listening, because I had this one, I can't say her name because we're too early in negotiations. I talked to this one girl. She said, I watched your videos. Oh, sorry.
Boom, boom.
But she said, I watched your videos and I'm intrigued. And I said, oh, really? Why? What's drawing you? And she says, well, you guys seem to be able to figure it out. And I'm like, well, I don't know if we're figuring it out, but we're sure trying to work through it together. Yeah. And she said, wow, I wish I had somebody like that.
Wow.
And she said something like Chris said, I wish I had something not only like that, but someone in real life, how rare it is.
Yes.
And I started going, everybody that I've talked to so far, they're eager to come on. It's like everybody's getting this, I call it a download. I don't know what else to call it. They're getting this, yeah, something ain't right. What are we going to do? Can we pull the cat out of the bag? Did you notice when we were talking to Chris, he said, I even get afraid. Did you catch that?
I heard that. Yes.
But I'm learning how to deal with it. But you know what else he said that got me? I rarely have a chance to talk to someone on this level.
That really,
and I think
too. Yes. I was.
And that's what drawing, because we're getting down into the nitty gritty. How are we going to survive through this? What are we going to do? Because it's obvious. Everybody we talk to there. And Rush was the calmest one of the bunch. That's why I wish I could talk to him longer. Oh, it doesn't ruffle me, am I? Tell me how. You know?
And you know, I think I wrote that thing. You see that thing that I wrote? I wrote a thing last night, which was to my son. I put it on Minds, and then I thought, oh, that might be. Did you see it? I was a bit.
Yes, I did. I looked at it. I read it this morning.
You did?
One of my breaks today. Yes, I did.
So, I think that I go back every single time I go back, and I think that I've said something too much or too harsh or being rude or whatever it is, and I go back to it and I sort of think about it and pray over it and mull over it, you know how you do, and think, these things are not coming out of me. I didn't think to do this radio show. I didn't think to suddenly, like when I'm approaching 60, to suddenly learn how to edit videos from scratch. I mean, you know, if somebody said yes, when I learned beekeeping, when I said I wanted to be a beekeeper, and because Callum was saying to me, it's $6,000 for him to have to have hives put in here for 6 weeks to pollinate the crop. So he gets 40 or 50 beehives put in here and he pays $6,000. And I said to him, dude, like if I got that amount of beehives, would you pay me that money? And he said, well, why don't you get more than that and give it to me and someone else? And I thought, that's interesting. So I don't know where I was going with that, with the beehives and something.
Well, it just shows the answers are coming to people. I think that's what we're getting to. I said the download. I was talking to AAA.
Yes.
And he said the same thing. He says, I don't know where this is coming from, but it's like something told me to do this and I'm doing it. And every time he gets to a certain point, he put those pictures up today. And I just happened to come back from my crazy real life world, sat down, and here those pictures were. So I was right there to say, wow, cool job, great, keep going. You know, and he said, I'm so tired. You saw the conversation.
Yeah, I did.
Like, and he said that something, you guys keep me encouraged to keep on. Did you see that? He didn't put exactly that.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, there's 2 other people cheering me on, basically was what he was saying. And I was thinking, this is so big. And he says that too. He says, it's bigger than us, isn't it? He gets excited when he starts talking about it. He's like, I got my bar and she's got her bees and somebody else is doing. It's clicking, and it's these people that we're talking to, they've already heard it. Like Rush was like, oh yeah, I'm already doing that. Yeah, I see the birds. And you're like, oh my God.
And we're both raving about it. Oh, birds! And he's, oh yeah, seen the birds. Yes, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
I'm so intrigued by him. We got to get back because it took us about 10, 15 minutes to get past that.
Yeah.
I was just so discombobulated.
No, me too.
And then he said something that made me feel like this tall. You get so overwhelmed and you got to have your crutches and your coffee. And I'm like, I felt like crawling under the table.
No, I'm sure he didn't.
We're so wise.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have to say. Teachers are taught by their students just as much as they teach them.
Well, I do feel this a lot in this sort of little adventure that we're on. It's a really strange place of not being the teacher, being the learner. How do you do this? How does this work? How do you think? How do you keep grounded? All these questions, I don't know. I want to ask somebody, and the only place I can find anybody to ask is here in Minds. And it's just
Isn't it crazy? I was over on Loop today, and Loop does have it to some degree. There's a few there that I connect with, but both of the ones that I connect with really well over there, they were Minds people, and they're over there. I don't think one of them is, but Beer and Gear over there is on Minds. So he'll be over on there, and he's so funny. He calls me Chica. There's a communication that happens there. It's a very small thing, almost like our chats. There's just a few really active people there, but the ones that are, every once in a while they'll say something. It's like, oh, it's here too, but not to the degree that it is on Minds. I don't know what the difference is because that's Josh's platform. There's no manipulation. It's just who you talk to is who you bounce off of. That's no filters or anything there.
Yes.
But then I turn around because I do my accounts on my Minds channel. Then I go over there and then I come back and I'm like, it's like night and day. Minds is different. I don't know. I keep on saying it. God must have put Minds there for a reason, or it was already there and God is using it for God's own intent because, man, the connections we're making there. This list I have,
Yes.
I know, but no one can see it but me. I mean, this list is growing.
Yes.
I have check marks on more and more every day. The one that's got a question mark on it right now becomes a check mark.
Yeah.
And all it takes is me going, hey, do you think you'd want to come chat? And they go, invariably, they have seen what we've done. And they're like, I'm a little nervous, but yeah.
Yes.
So the connections are there. I don't know how else. Mine's is the connection point for us anyway. I've been all over the internet. I've gone on Rumble. I've gone on Library or whatever it is now. BitChute, Loop. I used to be on a lot more platforms. And I just grabbed MeWe is another one. I can't find any traction with MeWe, Gab. I always end up going back to Minds. And it's because I can't think of a better name for the place because it's full of people who think.
Yes.
It's definitely, it's a special place. I don't know. John ought to pay us for advertising. Because I keep thinking it, how would we ever have met somebody like Rush or Mark or Censorship Sucks or Sick of the Lies, any of these guys. I was looking over on Loop today, and one of the ones, he's not all that active on Minds that much anymore, but Colobus, he's Fox News on the talk show. And he was over there, and I looked at his page over there, and he says, I'm a helpless cripple. And I was thinking, here we go again. It's these people that have had something terrible, and they're just precious. It's just something about that place. And it's not just us. That's this download, whatever you want to call it. It's happening everywhere. And I was talking to, I don't know if it was somebody else I was talking to is more traditional Christian. And he said, I don't agree with everything you say, but I agree with enough. And I hear some of the same things. And I told him, I said, we're trying to talk in a more, thank you, is truth the light? Universally. He was the one that brought me that word. And I tried to explain it to him. I said, you and I, we know the Christianese. Not everybody does. But they've still got this, they're hearing the same things we are. So I'm opening myself up to hear them. And he's like, well, I never thought of it that way. But he realized when I said it, he watched some of the shows and he says, you're right, there is something going on there, isn't there? And I said, yes, it's big. It really is big. Because I've talked to people some of these people aren't Christian at all. They're not even Buddhist. They're not anything, but they're connected. So it's something that we can't let go. We've got to. I was encouraging AAA. He was like, oh, sometimes I get so tired, but I'm going to finish it.
Yeah. No.
And we've got to keep that same thing. And you think,
well, I've been watching YouTube. But I don't know why. When my son was 16, he introduced me to PewDiePie, or somehow I got used with his meme review. And I was 16 back then, right? PewDiePie was. And I was, whoa, here's this kid having this show and everybody. And so then that was my introduction to what YouTube really was. Because before that, I thought it was just somewhere where you put your home videos up. In fact, it probably was at start. Anyway, so then I got introduced to these influencers. And so and then QAnon came along. And of course, I've told you before how fascinated I was. Honestly, I was like a cat with a pointer.
Did you have the Q clock and all that? We were into everything. The Q clock and the pub and all that. We had all 8chan, 4chan.
Really?
Oh,
I spent a lot. I didn't go into 4chan because it was mostly yeah. But I went through the whole thing as they built up the 8chan and the
yeah.
board,
8kun.
and then they went
Yeah.
over to the 8kun and all the bakers baking and all this language and everything. Loved that.
Artists.
And the
The artists.
the autumn was just such fun. But during that time, mostly what I did was I skipped from YouTube channel to YouTube channel, listening to what other people thought of it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was 3 intensive years of watching other people build their channels up from nothing to a fully fledged thing using the Q drops. They
Yep. Did you ever listen to Sir Patrick Mack?
Yes. Yes.
He was one.
Sir Patrick
And Tracy Beans.
Tracy.
I mean, those people grew from to whoa.
SGT Report,
Yep.
22, Lionel Nation. Man, I loved it. And I watched them grow and I watched them refine their thing. Like the first thing that happened was that they sorted out their shelves.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them all come with their microphones. And anyway, so you said about my ideas. None of those are my ideas.
Well, you got
Those are ideas that I
even the download.
It's true. I watched and I learned, you know?
Yep. And I used to be on YouTube back in the old days where we would get on YouTube and we'd be in, you could chat back and forth. They had a little thing where you could go over in one of the sections and you could literally live comment back and forth. And then we moved that and went to Blog Talk Radio. A bunch of us would do in the chat, and then we go to Blog Talk Radio, and we had some people that were really big. Photo Helix, I know a lot of people don't know him on YouTube, but he was an influencer for Christians and thinkers, I guess you would say. And there was another one, the Old Marine. There was a whole bunch of them. Make It Electric, Show Me Baby. We all used to get together at night. And that was like the beginning of this kind of what YouTube turned into before they went all censorship crazy. But we built each other. We as the iron sharpens iron,
yes.
You know, we used to spend weekend nights talking, guys in Canada, guys in all over the world. And we were already getting ready for this. And now this trouble has begun worldwide. And who do I see encouraging people over on YouTube? Show Me Baby, Make It Electric. Photo Helix died recently. He had cancer. And when he died, people came out of the woodwork that were not doing anything. They saw that he had cancer, and it took a while for him to finally, it was rough watching it happen. But when I thought about it, it was like, here's this, my generation of people. He was about my age, and he died. But now all these younger guys, they've got these powerful channels that one of them had to leave because he can't be specific enough on YouTube. Make It Electric, he just puts a blurb. He says, find me over on Rumble. But they're still there. They're saying, I almost fell over the other night. Show Me Baby, he's not that far from me. Show Me State is what they call Missouri. So he's from Missouri. So he used that, I'm the Show Me Baby. He was on a show the other night, and what he's been doing lately is just basically encouraging everybody. He's already set. He's out in the woods, kind of like Rush. He's prepared. He's set up fine, but he's putting himself on the line and saying, if you're not already doing this, do that, get yourself ready. He was showing people what passion flowers look like. So you can eat passion flower, showing them out in a field. Thank you. Saying you can eat these if things get rough. And I was thinking, I didn't know that. But at the end, you know what he did? The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you. The Lord, that whole Aaronic blessing. And this is just a guy my son's age. And it was right the night when the Biden thing came out that we had the mandates for the shots.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my God, this guy, he was trained on YouTube on Blog Talk Radio. And now when the darkness is here, Photo Helix is gone. The old guard, there's three of them. Charlie McGrath was a big YouTuber that was kind of, he died. Old Marine died. And now these young guys, again, we call them young. They're not really.
No.
40 years old, but he's giving up his life. He said his family is angry with him because he puts these videos out and they're like, you're opening yourself up for the FBI to show up your door. You know, he's like, I just have to do it. Just like us. We heard, yeah, we got to do this.
Yeah.
It is huge. I think people are starting to get that feeling. And I used to be bad about thinking on these cryptocurrency. I'm still not sure about cryptocurrency. It could go dark.
It could.
And I tend to look at the dark side of things. But I was thinking the other day, like you were just saying, David wasn't the one to build the temple earlier. Maybe this is something that's not going to make much sense to me. But these younger ones, they're figuring things out that we wouldn't. Never thought of. And if it is allowed, and you know, God does have God's ways, the 828 thing,
yes,
maybe it will be in it. I am not ruling anything out. I got over being negative and being more grateful, but now I need to be more, I guess the word's accepting, that we don't have all the answers. This thing is so big. Maybe there something that I don't get with this crypto stuff and this NFTs that you guys were talking. I never had any idea how this could help people, like you said, in Africa, that they can maintain a piece of property and say, this is mine because wow.
It's a country, isn't it? And you know, these young boys, these 40-year-old men, are the ones who figured it out. And they've given it to the world free. Not like what Big Pharma's doing, not like what capitalism has done, not like what all this other stuff that we're saying of the corruption. These guys have built a system, and yes, it's got problems and it may backfire, but I don't think they'll give up. Whatever they're learning from what they're building, this cryptocurrency and the stuff that they're building, whatever they'll learn now, they will make a better one next time and a better one next time. And I think that's the whole quest for the internet, is to keep information free, allow us to talk. And that for me is what Minds gives me. I can go to Minds and I can say a very profound thing, a very stupid thing, a very provocative, I can say it. And everyone can say, shut up, you're talking crap. And I'm, yeah, no, I was, eh? And it's no big deal.
It's kind of like a sounding board, because yesterday was 9/11 for us. You know, that's a huge trauma over here. And I had put up a bunch of really serious stuff. And then the afternoon came and I'm like, oh, I was having that conversation where we were doing the Roblox kind of, you know, the role playing. And I thought, this is such a relief. So I put up a kitty picture and I said, and now for something entirely different, you know, the Monty Python thing. And somebody said, oh yeah, that's really great information. Yeah. But they were saying it like, they got it. You know, you can be so inane. You can put up stupid kitty pictures, but then I can go another day and I can put up I'm a soldier for Christ and be all crazy, you know, and everybody goes, okay, she's in one of those moods. Okay.
It's lovely. I come to Minds. Actually, I was going to say I come onto the internet, but basically it's become just Minds now. You know, I'm getting old. I can't maintain my focus over all these areas. I sort of have to pare down just so that I can cope. So basically it's Minds, and I come to Minds and I feel that I'm accepted here. I feel
it feels all, doesn't it?
yes. And
You're
I'm the old grandma, and I've done, I was going to say everything you can wrong, but no, I haven't done everything, but I've done a goodly portion of stuffing up my life. And I've met the nicest people who accept me. And they're like, yeah, okay. You stuffed up. I stuffed up too. Let's move on. it's like this is a whole bunch of survivors. Mine's is full of survivors.
They are. And I said something the other day because we were talking about it, how so many of us are disabled or we're trying to work limping along or whatever. We have these problems, but most people don't even tell you their problems. I'm really open about mine because I've been around long enough that I can be, hey, this is the crazy cat lady. If I want to be stuffy and painful today, I'm going to be stuffy and painful today.
Yeah.
But there's other people on there that don't say any of that. But then when you get to talking to them privately, they're like, oh, yeah, I lost my husband 10 years ago. I don't have any kids. I live by myself. I'm lonely.
Mm.
And I thought, wow, there's so much as close as it is, we could be closer. And I think that's what I'm hearing. I told you I have this knowing. Some things just make sense to me that other people can't figure out. But it was bothering me, like, what am I doing all this for? And I think it's to get us stronger. Because no matter how you look at it, any kind of change is chaotic. I'm going through this hell with this deck being built in the back. I go in my kitchen and I look out and see this mess everywhere. Well, that's what the real world is like. The real world is a crazy mess. And these people get on minds and they're like, ugh. And it just happens that you just talk to them on that point where that, ugh. And I thought, this is what we're here for. Yes. We're building each other up because we said it the other night. What happens if we can't what happens if this whole world gets locked down? Like it as much as we do or not, no matter what we do, it could happen. If there's overpowering control, it just may happen. Yeah. We might not be able to get what we have now. And that's what it just dawned on me. We're building each other up for. My son keeps talking about dark winter, dark times. He hears dark by January. Someone else I saw online today said we're going to have a dark winter. I know that was something Biden said, but people are hearing this too in their own mind. I've got to prepare. Things are going to be, and even if it's something really good and there's no bloodshed, no nothing, and everything's starlight and sunshine. You know, as I do, any change is disruptive to the body, to the mind, to the soul. Yeah. And we're seeing that it's not just change. There's evil out there. I don't care what you call it. Someone who wants to shove an experimental drug in you and make you take it or else. We're getting into a really dangerous situation. And they're dividing us where if you think it's all right, you're going to hate the person who doesn't. When did we ever get this divided?
I know. Shocking, hey? Shocking.
It is so shocking. And Minds is this little haven. Granted, Minds has their own little spats. I've seen some. What was it? Two people, I forget what it was. But I mean, there was these huge spats going on all over Minds. And you think, oh my God, what a mess. Yeah. But then I came back to the same idea. It's a family. Families fight.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
But I think that's what we've been trying to focus mostly on guys right now because I think guys are the key. They're the key.
Yeah.
They're building. They're the ones doing the building. But you were saying the other day, what makes everything go round? What makes things work? We need each other. And the guys are going off doing their thing. And I even said it to my son again today. I said, I even read it somewhere else that women have been screaming for 30 years and guys are just going on building.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now we're taking it on the other side and going, okay, you guys are building. What's our job?
That's right.
We're building the family they're coming home to.
That's right.
Even if they don't have a wife right now. When I talked to AAA and he got done working himself silly all day, he didn't have anybody there telling him, you did a great job.
Yeah.
But I just happened to be sitting here and I saw it click up there that there was a chat message, went over there right in time. Hey, good job. That's just the way things work. And I named Justin, right? His nickname as a kid was Just in Time.
Oh, cute.
And I keep thinking about it. All these little miracles that we see, these little tiny miracles, like they're praying right at the right time, all these little things,
Yes.
it's just in time.
Who was
Everything,
who was
it
the
all falls into place. There's something about every little thing. I didn't name him with that thought in my head. But when I keep going to yep, just in time, God is just in time.
yes.
It just happens over and over and over and over. So I literally had to say, because I do pray and I do expect answers, because I do get answers. And that's what I said one day. I was out there on my porch and said, what is the point of this? And it was just so clear. You know how we talk God the Father, God the Mother, God the Son, with the Holy Spirit, all God being everything.
Yes.
And that's happening right down here.
Yeah.
We're making a new family. And what's been missing is women that aren't going up and down the street screaming all day long.
That's true.
I have my days.
I have my days. I'm sorry that I do. I'm really, really sorry that I do, and I would love to stop.
I would too, but you know what? I've been thinking about that too. And the guys, they want us to stop. And yet we've been overboard, granted. We were running down the street, tearing our bras off and pulling on our hair and screaming at them. But women are still going to be women, whether guys like it or not.
Yes.
We're emotional.
We are.
And we can't quit being, we just have to be self-controlled. I guess that's the word.
Right.
When you said I was the matriarch the other day, boy, did that hit me between the eyes. I don't want to be everybody's matriarch. But you know, that's what our roles are becoming. And I need to go from being this emotional, crazy mess. You're not the only one. If you ask my son what kind of craziness I get to some days, pulling my hair out, almost in tears because everything's just going crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And the guys seem to be really tired of our emotional, but I can't just completely turn those spigots off. I can't. We have to compliment, not compliment, you know, oh, how nice you are. We have to we're complete as we are, yes. You're a woman, I'm a woman, and we have our sores, but we are, you know, we're pretty much complete. But it takes that other side. It takes the guy, okay, Mom, like Justin, you're getting acting like a teenager now, why don't you know?
Well, I do think I agree with you a lot. I think that bringing the left and the right together, bringing men and women together, it's not going to fix everything. We're still going to be just as different as we were before.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be together and different. At the moment, we're apart and different. And that apartness, you know, in English, the Afrikaans word apartheid means apartness. It's being apart, separate. And so apartheid was started by people who believed that the black people had their own culture and the white people had their own culture, and these two things were different. And you shouldn't push the white culture onto the blacks, and the blacks shouldn't. So I think it went really wrong, as things can go. But the basic concept was to live apart. And it didn't work because the people tried to live apart. And when they got back to this what's called reconciliation now in Africa, and it's not working, But the idea is there. Let's reconcile. Let's start something. And you know, God made women and men different on purpose. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't like,
yeah, we're supposed to be different. And the other day it dawned on me again. The guys have their emotional fits too. They just compartmentalize it and they put it as another channel, or they go do something that takes that part of them. Like my neighbor, he was over here working on my deck. He says, okay, guys, we're done for now. Let's go shooting. The guys all got their guns and they went down to Piasan Armory and they're down there having a ball, you know. But they didn't invite me. We were talking about, oh yeah, I've got a Luger, I've got a, you know, I'll go down. No, this is for the guys. But when you get the deck done, you can come. We'll have a housewarming party. We'll come over there for that. They have their things and we have our things. But our neighborhood is coming together because we're talking.
Yes.
I didn't know that he had a concealed. He came over and brought me this whole great big suitcase to show me all his guns. He's got tasers. Oh my God. I had no idea. If things go bad, I'm running to his house.
Yeah. Very clever. Isn't it strange how you find out all these wonderful things just when you talk to people?
Yeah. So we're doing something that, I was wondering, what's the whole point? It's to build a community. And mine's already was a community. But you were saying something about apartheid. And I was thinking about that word, apart. We can be apart, or we can be a part of something
Wow.
bigger.
Beautiful.
You can still be your part, and I can be my part. And like we say, not everything's the same about us, but we have things that rhyme.
Yes.
We're finding the same thing with these people on Minds, and I really think that was what our goal is. What do women, my son says all the time, you women, you talk all the time. But we're getting guys on here that want to talk to us. And why? Because they don't have a community to hear that. Like Justin, he has his mom. Chris has his mom and probably other people. But do we have enough? Do we have enough for when things get so bad that, I'm putting survival food in there, because even if we don't get to a shooting war, we're having problems getting little simple things like chicken in the grocery stores right now. I went to get chicken thighs for my cat. That's what we feed him. They didn't have any. Yeah, it's those things like that. Even in the best of circumstances, when you're going from an old world to a new world, which is what we're doing, like it or not, these elite people, I know Rush was saying them out there, but there is a them out there.
Yeah.
There is an evil force out there trying to keep this new world from happening.
Yes.
And what it's trying to do is stop us from talking. 6 feet social distancing. You in your house, me in my house, mask over my face so I can't see your smile. They don't want us communicating and talking. But somebody else does.
Yep.
And God is already talking, and he's already, like I told you, with these people that I don't know, should I ask them? And every last one is going from a question to a plus mark,
So
God has already got this figured out. We're just, I forget what the verse says, something about, you've used that one, let me be the handmaiden. That's what Mary said, I'm the handmaiden, let it be done unto me as you. There's another place in the Bible that says that basic thing, that I will do what you call me to. It was something that Paul said. And then there's another one that says, many are called, but few are chosen.
Yes.
So I heard something else when you were talking about called out, called apart. We are called out. We are being called apart. That side, I know Rush might not be able to see it where he is out there in his wilderness, but there is a bad side, an evil side. Just like in the stand, there was the mama, grandmama out in Nebraska, and then there was Randall Flagg out in Las Vegas. They're there. And they don't want this to work. They don't. There is a they. And I know we've met the enemy, and he is us. Humanity. We are our own worst enemies. And we're, like you said, we're doing it wrong. The guys are over here and the girls are over there. And that's perfect. Are we making any babies?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
And the ones that are getting made, half of them are getting murdered. So, God, this isn't working.
Well, my sister is one of those women. She has not been able to get a husband. She's had two very, very serious boyfriends, very close boyfriends. The one left her at the altar, and the other left her because he didn't want to. She wanted to have children, and he didn't want to have children. So they split up, and he went and got up with another woman, and she was pregnant 3 months later. So she's had this really, really rejected woman thing, and she had two babies by test tube, both boys, test IVF. Yeah.
Funny, two boys.
2 boys. 2 boys. And she has found, because she wanted to find out if her boys had cousins and stuff and siblings and whatever. So she has found that the sperm donor that she's got her children for has 300 children.
Oh my gosh.
One man's sperm. One man who obviously doesn't have a woman and jacks off into a little cup. And those are the babies that are getting born in the world.
And they're not getting as much as she wanted those children. I really applaud her for doing it. It's a mother and a child, and there's no daddy.
There's no daddy.
And we've got so many families like that.
That's right. My dad has tried to be the dad, and my other sister's husband has tried to be the dad, but there isn't a dad. And I don't want to talk bad about my sister, and I admire her a lot. She's unbelievably strong, professional, wonderful, Christian. She's just a good person.
She did what she could with what she wanted to achieve. But we want to get this back. That's the whole, we're a family and we got to get back together. Yeah. And I think that's what God is doing.
Absolutely.
God is saying, all right, you guys, you're down there in that basement and you're over here on this, and you guys are all sitting by yourselves. Why don't you just I'm going to tell you to talk. And that's what's happening. It's so funny. I don't even know how I met. Oh, yes, I do now. Authentic Antique Arms. He got his channel marked in SFW. That's the only reason I ran into him. And it was only because I saw Reverend Holiday and Don't Sleep also. So I joined in, and what did we do? As a community, we said, hey, this guy doesn't need this. And we made him welcome.
Yes.
He is now part of Minds. And it took John. Yes. It took, Quite Jane. And there was like multiple people involved in that.
Yes.
And what did it do? It brought another person that was meant to talk to you and me.
Yes.
And not just you and me. Now he goes over and chats with Erigmar, and Stars Hatter chats. Or Star Shatter. Yes, he can't wait to talk to Erigmar now. And I'm thinking, young morale officer, old morale officer. This is going to be good. And I didn't think he would ever get the courage, but I noticed him tonight. He's like, I think I can do it. I might be a little nervous at first, and I might not talk all that much, but I think I'll be just fine. My biggest thing that I drew from Rush was his centeredness. He is at peace. Didn't you feel that?
Yeah, totally.
That was the biggest draw I had.
Yeah, like a real calm.
Together, figured out.
And yet,
that's what I talk more.
Yes, but we know from the things that we've said in the past with him that he actually isn't figured out. He's struggling as much as we are, and yet he has this.
The word I thought of was peace. He's peaceful. He's at peace. He's accepting. I don't know. There's so many words, but maybe grounded is a better word.
That was very interesting when I said to him, how does he meditate? How does everything? He says he goes out into the earth and sits on the ground.
On the ground.
Well, I could even do that.
I used to do that when I could. That was I used to, as a little girl, I used to lay on the ground on my back with my arms like that, just lay there and enjoy the sun and I thought about how I remember that even as a little girl, there was something about being on that earth and looking up. And here he does the same thing. But then again, another guy alone, if he does have someone, he's out there in the middle of nowhere half the time. I don't think if he does, he has it full time. He doesn't even have the dog full. I didn't know that. That he basically rents Lucy. He takes care of Lucy. And that was just so fascinating. But the bird thing was another one. That when he started talking about all these birds, and you and I had this thing with the birds flying, and I'm like, there's another one. And another one I'm talking to that is going to be on. Also, birds. He's had parakeets. He loves birds. There's a connectedness between us. I'm not saying that everybody's going to love birds, but wow, how common is it for people to have that much? He had those little house finches right in his house.
Cute, eh?
Wow.
And the screech owl, when he was talking about the screech owl with a 6-meter wingspan. Wow.
Yeah, all those things are huge. Yeah.
That must be
And he knows that there's something about birds that was just like, oh, I just want to talk to him for a long, long time. Yeah.
Is really great. Yeah.
But again, these poor guys, they don't have, and neither do you and I. You know, I don't have a husband anymore. I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
I have the son, but I don't have a love interest. I don't have another person that I can go, oh, what a day, honey. You know, we don't have that.
No.
None of us do.
Yeah.
None of us. Now, one of these people that I'm bringing on does.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure when he's going to be ready, but it's the prayer. And he's married and has a daughter. So this is going to give us a new insight because they've managed to get through hell too. They've lost a child,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but they stayed together. I want to pick his head. You know, how did you stay together? Because I think my daughter having her brain injury and her eye injury, I think that contributed to my marriage falling apart. We went through trauma and it broke our family apart.
Hmm.
They went through trauma and made it through on the other side.
Hmm.
So there's going to be, again, it's a family. So not all of us are going to be lonely. Some of us are going to be in better positions.
Hmm. And
I think that's
you and I have learned a lot about how not to do things. And I think that's a really, really important because a lot of people who know how not to do things don't want to tell other people about how they've messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being able to come into a space like this and bring everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hash it out. And yes, everything's changed. The language of spirituality's changed. The way people view God has changed. The language we need to use in order to talk to other cultures. You know, all this awareness that we didn't have 100 years ago even.
Mm-mm.
So my gran and grandpa would never have been able to give us what we're trying to pass on now because it was just a different world.
Yep. My son said something really funny the other day. He said, it's kind of like we're developing a hive mind for the earth. We've got this internet and there's a person who does a study of the internet and it can predict the future.
Wow.
Have you seen that? It's Cliff High, I think.
Yeah.
He was talking about it. And there's a couple of other people that were talking about we were getting to this point of whatever this point that we're headed toward, this kaboom, this new thing.
Mm.
And he said that the internet, they've been studying it and you can actually graph people's behavior and what people are thinking. And it's almost predictive of things that are coming. And that made me start thinking we're developing, like I said, a new way to be family, a new way to communicate. We've got an internet that you almost could call sentient when it's predicting things, how people, you know, they do their surveys, you know, well, people aren't always really honest on surveys, but when you're watching what people are saying and trends and things, and you're seeing awareness going, like before 9/11, there were signs in the people that things were going, tension was going up. And then 9/11, it was almost like even that far back, the internet where it was at then was almost predicting something was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we're seeing here is something is happening.
Yes.
This hive or whatever you want to, and it's so funny, you're a beekeeper. That's why it hit me so, you know, hive. Yeah, we're making a new way to communicate. And some of us will never meet. You and I may never cross that big pond.
Strange.
But I did meet a couple. And even though we haven't, we're making something for, like I said, when things do get, it might be an individual darkness. You know, I could fall down tomorrow, and before I talk to you again, I'll be in the hospital with a broken leg. You never know. I was talking to, I don't know if I should say her name. She's a big channel, and she went to the hospital. She's got kidney stones, and hardly anybody knew about it, but she decided to put it up online to say, oh, hurting really bad. And there were people there because she was in that pain, and she was willing to say, oh my God, I was in the hospital. I'll talk to you later. I was in the hospital last night. I'm in horrible pain. We've had this new way. She's married too. She's got but she came onto mine, you know, oh man, it's another family, and it's being built closer and closer. And if you don't have a family of your own, like a lot of these guys don't, they might have part of a family, but they don't have a complete family. They're looking for somewhere to find anything similar, anything appropriate that they can just latch onto. Yes. So it can't be that. It's got to be, you know it, you've seen it when we talk to these people. They've got the same information we have. They might have different ways of saying it, but when we get to talking to them, we find out, oh yeah, you know what I know.
Yes, it's bizarre. It's so strange. For so many years, I've had to change the words that I say because people say, I don't get you. And now I'm finding that people are, oh, it's like that, is it? Oh, yeah, I've done that. Wow. There is so much division. There is so much superficial division. But you start looking a little bit deeper underneath just the frivolities of society. And you see there are these very deep, concerned people making conscious choices. That was another thing I really got from Rush, was that these were conscious decisions. He'd thought it through, and he had actively implemented his thinking. Not, oh, that's a great idea, I'll look at the video tomorrow sort of attitude. But this is going to work, and this is when things are like this and that, I will act like this and this.
Yeah.
So
that's what I heard from him. The assuredness, even though he's going through his own, we all have our own little hells and our own little heavens. But then I was thinking about Chris. You know, you were saying we're going to do a review on both.
Yes.
What I saw with Chris was kind of that same thing. Chris has already got these wonderful ideas, his 3D videos, and when he was talking about how you could look even on the shelf and see what the price of something was before you got there. Why, all these things these guys think up that I would never. But again, he also said, I have fear. I have to deal with this stuff too. But you know what? I'm still going. I'm going to keep on going. I'm not going to let this fear stop me. I don't really have so much fear as, am I doing the right thing, is the thing that comes to my head. It's not afraid. It's, please let me be doing the right thing. It's still kind of that not sure though, you know, that, am I taking the right step? And I think that's what he was saying. You don't really know what's going to happen, but you got to keep that same word, Kadima, that I got from my old buddy that I would love to get back.
Yes.
It's that same thing. Yes. Keep on. Keep going. It's the same thing that I put on my channel every once in a while. Don't ever give up. I was just going to say, we can get out of that and come here, and we got this encouragement. You know, like you said, you get up in the morning, you see something I wrote the night before, and you were all down, and you read it, and you're like, oh, you know.
That's one thing that I've often had from Rush. I haven't been on here very much lately because I've had stuff to deal with. But every time he comes back, he just comes back so pleasant. He doesn't bring his stuff with him.
Mm-mm.
And so
He can offload it, can he?
Yeah.
That's what guys seem to be so much better at. Maybe we need to learn from them. You know?
No, you cannot. Nope. That should be a law. Nope. Like ladies playing video games and ladies playing computers. No.